and go.
Okay, so now you've seen our classrooms very briefly. And the next couple of things, this orientation is normally an hour. I usually go on and on and on and on, but what we're trying to do is mostly just give you a brief synopsis of what it is that we do so you can decide and determine if this is the direction you want to go, because our enrollment is coming up very fast and our spots are very few and we want to get as many people in who want to be here. So the next question is, how do I know if Soch is for me? Well, I guess the first question is, are you looking for something that's an alternative in terms of education to the public and the traditional school system? And the reason I say traditional school system is because that can look like anything that's a 5-day full-time private program. And we are a hybrid, so you can either be part of our Soch Core, which is a 3-day program, or you can do a 1-day, which is either our Foundations program or Arts and Innovations program, or you can do just Arts and Innovations and our Foundations, or you can combine them all together. You can pick and choose sort of what works for you and your students. So that's the first question, is are you looking for something that is an alternative to what your student is doing now or what you are looking at for the future? We are a secular program. We do follow the Common Core standards and the California state standards, so that is something to be aware of. All of our curriculum, and for the most part, for all intents and purposes, when you walk on campus, the students look and feel like this is a full school, and that is by design. We are on paper and legally and behind the scenes, we're a learning center, but we want it to feel a sense of sameness from either what they're coming from or what their friends are doing, and that sense of normalcy, having traditional PE and recess and structures like that in place, make for a cohesive environment for them to not only work as peer-to-peer collaborative in the classroom, but to also their socializing and their friendships form on the playground and in the more enrichment areas rather than in the academic areas. And that's all by design. And the reason is because when I started homeschooling with my son, there's so many different homeschooling programs out there that are a la carte, and we've had wonderful experiences. Those are amazing programs, and it's not to take anything away from them. We just were looking for something that was much more cohesive, that allowed for the students to grow and bond with each other, and kind of, they do become sort of like siblings. They kind of do end up having those push-pull dynamics to them. And part of the process of teaching for our teachers is they're learning how to still interact and learning how to play and navigate those social situations together. It's a big part of our curriculum as well. We do a lot of social, emotional, and growth mindset with our kids in every single one of our classrooms across the board. So if that's kind of what you're looking for, Soch might be a great fit. It's just a matter of you going through all of our information, all of the frequently asked questions, and making sure that we're going to be fit for you as a family. Other questions that I get are things like charters and charter funds. We are a vendor with charters. Every year the charters change, and we are a third party, so it's completely dependent between you and your charter as to what they're going to pay for, how they're going to pay it, how much they're going to pay, their rules. We do have some years where charters are easier to work with and others that are harder for them to work with us. We'll have parents who come and say, well, my student is a third grader but really working on second grade foundational skills because they still need those skills, and we are happy to cover those with them because that's what they need, but my charter's telling me they're third grade, so they need to be working on third grade. Well, that's kind of just, if you're here, we assume your philosophy lines up with ours, and our philosophy, that's a sticking point between us and the charters. Not all kids are going to be here working at the same grade level in actuality, when their grade level on paper and their records is different. So again, that's nothing that we can do. We can help you with. That's something you kind of have to kind of work with your charter with, as well as things like work samples. There are charters in years where they take everything we do at Soch, all of our projects, all of our worksheets, all of our essays, and they're happy to use those as their work samples. And there are other times where they require you to do a whole separate load of work for them specifically. Again, that's between you and the charter. Do you have to use a charter? Nope. We probably have 50% of our families who are file a PSA or with a PSP, and that means that they are independent of charters and that they are essentially themselves their own private school. That's what a PSA is. It's a private school affidavit, and It's very easy to fill out. You are now the record keeper for your child for their education, and the California Department of Ed has you on file as their principal, record keeper, academic advisor, all the things you put your name in or your spouse's name in or the other guardians of your child in. It feels very weird when you do it, but it is totally legitimate, and everybody who files a PSA does it every year with the California Department of Ed. So you can certainly do that as well. What other questions do we usually get?